hate intros. If you've been watching my channel for a while, and I mean, you probably haven't, this might be the first video you'll ever watch of mine, then you might not know that I have this series on my YouTube channel where I talk about anxiety, eating disorders, panic attacks and depression, 4 of which I have some experience with. So I've been talking about them, sharing my experience, giving some tips. Not really that many tips, but I've shared my experiences. So I was wondering when the last time I posted a video about that was, and that is on March 8th, 2015. So that was 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And I thought I would just do an update. I don't think I've had any major dips when it comes to my eating disorder or any major dips with my depression. I've had some minor ones where I felt depressed and I've had to go back on my meds and reevaluate my life. But other than that, it hasn't been that much. So let's go to fall last year of 2016. I was doing so well. I wasn't depressed. I had a bit of a dip, but it was manageable. And my food, like my diet, was on point. I was exercising, I was meal prepping, I was doing everything right, and I felt really good about it. And I started to see some results physically and mentally, and it just made me feel really good about myself. And then around January I got a bit of a dip with my depression and I stopped going to the gym. But I didn't stop, but it went a longer period of time before I went the next time. So I might have just gone there a couple of times a week, and before that I had gone to the gym almost every day. So just going 1 to 2 times a week was like a major fallback for me. And then it kind of just started to escalate, and I went there a few times and it went weeks between each session, and my diet started to get really bad and it was just not fun. It started to get really bad. I had to go back on my meds. I think I already said that. And me and my friend, we were planning a trip to Italy in May, I think. Yeah, in May. And I mean, you wanted to look good and be like beach ready, whatever that means. But I couldn't, because I couldn't get my mind back on track, which is very frustrating. And then we went there and I felt bad. And I had a bit of anxiety and I had to like be alone for a while, which isn't easy when you're just with one person and you're in a new country, you haven't been there before, you don't speak the language, like you want to be together, but at the same time I needed space, and that's quite difficult for some people to grasp. She was very good about it though, like really good about it, and I declined going with her to the gym because I just needed some time alone, and she respected that, so thank you for that. And she didn't know why I wanted to be alone. I said, I need to be alone, like I don't want to go to the gym, I can't do it. And then as time went by over there, I did feel bad. I mean, I was in the sun and the sun did so much to me. I feel like so much for my mental health, for my depression. So I did feel a lot better throughout my visit there, or our visit there. And then in June we came back, and I'm never really gotten back on track since January, and that's really frustrating, is because if I had stayed on track, if I hadn't felt so bad during January and February, March and April and throughout the year, then I would have gone so much further with my physical health, with my mental health. And now it's just, I'm back on square one. I have gained some weight, a lot more weight than I would have liked to. And it's frustrating, that's all I'm saying. It's really frustrating. Now on November 25th, 2017, I have realized, well actually last night, I realized that I have fallen back in old tracks with my eating disorder. And now, I'm not gonna say like any numbers, but I don't eat enough, and I know I don't eat enough, but for me it's so difficult to eat a certain amount of times. Like you should eat breakfast and lunch and dinner, maybe like a fruit or something in between meals, and I can't do that. I can't I can't do that. It's just too much for my brain to grasp, and knowing that you should do something but you just physically are not able to because you need help, or I don't even know what I need, is so hard. And I think I've come up with a method that might work for me, but it will take so long time. I don't know like how it's going to work. I just know that I don't eat enough. I know I don't eat regularly. I know it's not good for me, and at the same time I feel unable to do something about it. And I know so many people who hasn't been through this, who doesn't understand like the mind process of it or the difficulty of it, will say just eat, you know you should eat, just eat. But the thing is, I'm not hungry, and if I'm not hungry, I'm not eating, and if I'm not eating, I don't get energy, and you know how everything turns out. And last year I was so good. I was eating about like 4 or 5 times a day, healthy meals, and then it's just one day I just didn't eat once, and then my body just automatically changed. And the next day I wasn't hungry that time. I wasn't hungry when I was supposed to have that snack. I wasn't hungry when I was supposed to eat breakfast, or whatever meal it may have been. I was just not hungry, and I couldn't bear myself to eat. And now it's gone even further. It's not just one meal, it's multiple meals. So it's difficult for me to just fight that and still eat, because it makes me feel sick. It's so difficult to explain, because if you haven't been through it, no matter how well I try to explain it, it will never be exactly how it is that I experience it. No one will ever know. The people who are closest to knowing are the people who have experienced something similar, or maybe close to exactly the same as I have. And I don't have those people around me that no one's told me of. So, yeah. On a positive note, I do feel like I have gotten a lot better, like mentally, because if this had happened, like if this weight gain had happened like 1.5 to 2 years ago, I would not have dealt with it as well as I have now. Like I know I just said that I'm not eating well enough, and I don't, but mentally I'm doing better. Like I'm not beating myself up over this weight gain. I am not like saying, I'm not getting these thoughts back in my mind as often. I still get them, but not as much and as frequently as they would have about 1.5 to 2 years ago. These thoughts, it says like, you're ugly, look at her, look at how she looks, you should look like that, you should eat this, you have to do this to get rid of those calories, you have to do this to get rid of that, or you shouldn't do this, you should do that instead. Like those thoughts doesn't exist nearly like anywhere near as much as they did back then. On that note, I am very happy about it, because I've gotten so much further in that way. But my relationship to food hasn't changed. Like that's still as crap as it was back then, and that needs to be changed. But is it weird if I say that I'm actually kind of proud of myself of have actually grown with how I deal with it? Like, I don't know, I just feel a bit proud that I'm dealing with it as well as I am. It could have been so much worse, and I don't know. It makes me feel a bit better about this whole situation with food and everything. There's a good note to end it on. Let's talk about next week. Next week I have the most amazing video planned. Okay, it might not portray as amazing as I am thinking about it or picturing it in my head, but it is Christmas themed, because it's the 1st of Advent next week on Sunday, and I have a video planned for you. I have some things I have to pick up, and I'm getting a bit more creative on this one. I hope you will like that video. I hope you like this video, and let me know if you want me to do some more about this mental health kind of videos, and maybe some tips and tricks about how I deal with it and how I manage the food and exercise and anxiety that sometimes kicks in, and panic attacks. I haven't had a panic attack in a very long time now. Thank you for that. but I could still tell you about what I've done afterwards. So if I film one coming or what I do then, let me know if you would want me to do one of those kind of videos, and I will. Hopefully I'll see you soon next week. Bye. Goodbye.